I'd like to start with Deadwater Fell because Paul and I were at that screening. Did you watch it again for the purposes of the podcast or just for yourself? Paul,
bit of both, actually. I wanted, it was a good one. When did we see it? Before Christmas, wasn't it? And
yes.
So I wanted to, I was writing a review of it for the site, so I needed to kind of refresh my memory. And I also wanted to see whether it had the same kind of impact that it did.
Because there's always that screening effect, because you're
Yeah.
seeing something in a different environment and you're seeing it first with the cast and with a load of other journalists. There can be that sort of, this is really exciting, and then when you watch it at home, you don't feel that same pang that you do.
Oh, no, I agree, because watching anything on a big screen, it kind of slaps you about the face a little bit, and certainly Deadwater Fell. When the lights came up at the end of that first episode, I remember looking around, and there were some seriously traumatised people in that room. And also, I'm a bit of a geek, and I like to see the how things were constructed and what they were trying to do. Do you know what I mean? How, especially crime dramas, where plotting and all that kind of stuff is really, really important.
Just the basics then. This is about a tight-knit Scottish community. GP, played by David Tennant, and his teacher wife have this idyllic lifestyle with their 3 daughters. They're very close to Cush Jumbo, who plays Tennant's wife's teacher colleague, and a policeman who's married to her, played by Matthew McNulty. They're awoken in the middle of the night with a house ablaze, and it would seem that David Tennant's family's house is on fire. The mother and the 3 daughters die as a result of this. David Tennant is pulled free, and then it's was this a deliberate act? They appear to all be injected with a substance. Did Anna Madeley, who played David Tennant's wife Anna, was she struggling with depression and other things and just putting on a brave face? And were the couple as perfect as they appeared initially? And so it's a really well-constructed thriller from that point of view, and really interesting. Matt, what were your views? You didn't see it at the screening, you saw it. Sat at the computer like a lonely nerd. What did you think?
How do you know?
I just had a feeling. I don't know what it was.
No, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, Channel 4 have been trailering this quite heavily over Christmas. I somehow ended up watching a lot of Channel 4, so I feel like I've seen the trailer, but I think it's one that didn't give a lot away, which is good. It held my attention, definitely. There's that mystery there. They brought in another sort of twist towards the end, didn't they? The relationship between the Cush Jumbo and David Tennant characters.
Yeah.
The going back and forward through time, I don't know how you felt about it, because the opening scene was revealed to be sort of out of the timeline at the end.
Yeah, sort of niggled at me a little bit. That's my bugbear, as you know.
But no, I liked how early on they established sort of the closeness of this community and how a sort of a tragedy like that would affect it. They had this opening scene where it was sort of getting ready for a bike race that was coming through the village, and I liked all of that, sort of establishing some sort of community, and then the effect of this tragedy, everyone sitting around sort of theorising about what had happened and things like that. And I'm assuming sort of more skeletons will be coming out of the closet as it goes on.
So you're going to continue watching it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I probably would have watched more had I not been. I wanted to just watch the first one to talk about with you, so I didn't sort of let anything slip.
In terms of crime drama, is this plotted well, Paul? You watch these almost exclusively. How do you feel this was plotted?
Well, yeah, apart from Wurzel Gummidge, even then I was looking out for plots and twists in that just didn't come.
Wurzel turns evil.
Yeah, that could be something. You might be onto something there, actually. Matt was talking about, kind of slight jumps in timeline and flashbacks and flash forwards and all this and all that, which I agree with Luke, can get a bit too much if it's not handled well, because too many can start to kind of confuse things and just be annoying, frankly. But I thought they did a good job. They did a lot of foreshadowing, which is this literary device where they kind of set things up to tell you that, and I'm doing the inverted commas, something bad is going to happen. And of course we saw that straight away there was a car crash, which I think made everyone in the cinema room completely jump out of their skin. If there was a metaphor in microcosm for this program, I think that opening scene was absolutely it, because you've got a car driving through this beautiful Scottish scenery, right? This amazing landscape, and then out of nowhere, it just kind of spins and flips out, and totals itself. And it's like, well, that's it, isn't it? It's all about this kind of picture perfect community, beautiful village, and then this horrific tragedy. So they did a lot of that, I don't know whether it's too much or not, in terms of kind of like going, look at this, everyone, this is the perfect life. Look, they're all holding hands, they're all going down the beach, they're all getting
barn dancing.
They're all barn dancing, because which perfect community doesn't have barn dancing? Right. Yeah, so that was interesting. And then of course it was, I think the actual tragedy, the fire, was not, when I say nicely done, but what I mean is it was well choreographed in terms of impact. Yeah, effective in its impact, because you were really left reeling after that, because it was such a hardcore 5 minutes. And I guess all that foreshadowing of all the bar dancing and getting drunk and, laughing and joking and beautiful scenery, it was the stark contrast to that. Something absolutely terrible happened. It was terrifying. The end of that first episode, it's actually, I kind of thought, it was really quite a straightforward. I mean, who knows where it's going to go? And what I mean is, it's got domestic noir written all over it, this kind of subgenre, certainly in crime fiction at the moment, where people have got the perfect lives and they see something or something happens to them that kind of throws them into complete turmoil, and they have to sort of work things out. And it's got that kind of, girl on a train sort of whiff about it, you know what I mean?
I think I often bemoan things that have got this big tragedy at the centre, but they don't do enough beforehand to set who these people are up. And I think she's done a really good job of letting you know, as you say, who they are, what they stand for, and they're standing within the community. And that's all you need to really feel empathy about their situation. If this had started with the fire and we didn't know who David Tennant and Anna Madeley's characters were, then it wouldn't have had the impact it had for me.
And also the immediate aftermath of the fire, the scene in the school, and
that was horrible. That was really horrible. That scene in the
I think
school.
Actually, the headmaster who gave a speech about tried to explain to the children why two of their classmates weren't there anymore, was actually it was the most amazing description of death to young children I think I've ever heard. Actually, it was just a really beautiful way of trying to explain to the children what had happened.
Had an authenticity, didn't it? To
Absolutely.
It did, yeah.
Everything that lives has its time on this planet. All the animals, all the flowers, all the people. We all have time to do the things we like doing, like laughing and dancing and playing with our friends. Most people get lots and lots of time, but sometimes people only get a little bit of time. Last night something very sad happened, and I know it's very hard to understand. Charlotte and Iris and Emily may not be with us anymore, but they're all together with their mummy now.
Mark Minot's character,
Steve.
The copper in the. And that was really touching as well, because he was trying to do his job and investigate this case, which initially looked like a horrible accident or even arson. But as suddenly he's realising, as he's watching CCTV footage and talking to pathologists, he's realising that his best mates might not be entirely kosher, and something far more sinister might have happened in that house than he can imagine. But what I liked about that is, he was obviously struggling with PTSD after kind of trying to be, Fireman Sam and jump into the flames and rescue his mates, and extreme anxiety, as you would imagine. But then he had the added thing of like that kind of stomach dropping feeling when you know you or your mates or whoever that is close to you has done something terrible. And I kind of quite appreciated that. I think on the whole, I think it was actually really good. And it's only a 4-part series, so I'm expecting this to be quite a fast-paced, twisty and turny. Lots of red herrings. So I still think at the moment Kate is being presented as, oh, she had mental health problems. That means she must be... And I think mental health is often used as a flaw in someone's character.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting the whole Kate being on antidepressants and whatnot to be a bit of a red herring.
One of the daughters had a disability, didn't she? And
Right.
it was partly sort of based around that as well.
Mm.
No, I think it's a really well constructed first hour. I can't speak to the rest of it, but I'll certainly be watching the rest of it. Also, we should clear up, he wasn't Fireman Sam in that scenario, because Fireman Sam lives in a tight-knit Welsh community, and this
I see.
a tight-knit Scottish community, so they're quite different.
Isn't it Fireman Samantha now, anyway? So wasn't there the whole sort of big hoo-ha?
Yeah.
Luke, you did ask people what they thought of it as well, didn't you?
I did. It was mostly good responses and people really surprised by it and happy with it. I do think now this is just the old me. It did surprise me because it went down so well in the screening room, and then I saw that they were putting it on a Friday night, and I thought, what an odd choice. But is that just me thinking with my old TV hat on? Like you was weird, Paul, when you saw
a tiny bit. It had a sort of landmark 9:00 Sunday, so everyone would be talking about it at work day, written all over it. And I did see some social reaction, for what it's worth, with a few people kind of saying, bloody hell, just come back my first week at work after the Christmas break, and I put my feet up, ready to watch this new David Tennant drama. And I think they needed a stiff drink afterwards. So I don't know. Who knows how schedulers work? It's a dark one.
I have no
It's
idea.
odd for Channel 4 because you equate Friday night with sort of comedy, don't you? I know
It's
BBC
usually
and ITV.
Gogglebox and
I enjoyed this, or I don't know enjoyed, but this response from Flick Everett to your tweet where she said, brilliant but much more traumatic than I expected, partly because I was once rescued from a house fire.
Wow.
Maybe not the best thing to watch on a Friday.
Well, in some ways that's a compliment, right? Because in a weird sort of way, obviously Flick there had a horrible experience and a very harrowing and traumatic one. But it just goes to show that, perhaps I don't want to speak for her, but perhaps she's saying that it was quite authentic and it was, something quite, I wouldn't say triggering, but you know what I mean? It kind of brought back some horrid memories there. I just even though it was a thriller, and thrillers, and we were talking about Giri Haji, and that was, as I say, that was like a graphic novel brought to life, whereas this one felt kind of much more authentic in terms of human relationships and reactions to trauma.
It was far more relatable and scary relatable, I suppose.
Absolutely.